Enough, Clara, my mom yelled, her voice trembling as she leaned across the dining table, her eyes blazing with frustration. The Christmas lights twinkled on the tree, casting a warm glow that felt like a mockery of the tension in the room. I sat there, hands clenched in my lap, trying to keep the anger from spilling over. My dad's voice cut in, sharp and accusing. You've always got to make it about you, don't you? His words hit like a slap, and for a moment, the only sound was the soft ticking of the grandfather clock in the corner. My name's Clara Hensley, I was 32 in the winter of 1978, and that Christmas Eve in rural Iowa changed everything. Our family farm, passed down through generations, was our lifeblood, but it was teetering on the edge of collapse. I'd left for Minneapolis years ago to become a lawyer, a choice my parents saw as a betrayal of our roots. My older brother, Nathan, stayed behind, running the farm and soaking up their praise. I didn't mind that he stayed, what hurt was being treated like an outsider no matter how much I gave. That night, I learned my brother had been stealing credit for my sacrifices, and the fight to prove my truth nearly tore our family apart. This is a story of betrayal, perseverance, and reclaiming my place in a family that refused to see me stay with me, because the raw emotion of being dismissed and fighting for fairness will grip you, and if you've ever felt overlooked, this will feel like your own triumph. The farm was struggling, and I'd been quietly sending money to its account since the summer, trying to keep it afloat. Nathan had convinced me not to tell our parents, saying it would wound their pride to know we were struggling. They'd feel like failures, he'd said, and I believed him, trusting he'd handle things. I didn't want to shame them, so I sent the money, hundreds of dollars each month, without a word. But that Christmas Eve, as we sat around the table, my mom's voice brimmed with pride. Nathan's the reason we're still going, she said, her eyes shining. I don't know where we'd be without him. My dad nodded, adding, he's been working himself to the bone. I glanced at Nathan, expecting maybe a hint of guilt, but he just leaned back, smirking like he was the star of the show. My stomach twisted. He'd been taking credit for every cent I'd sent out. I couldn't stay silent. Actually, I said, my voice shaky but clear, I've been sending the money every month since June, from my account in Minneapolis. The room went quiet. My dad scoffed, shaking his head like I'd told a bad joke. Don't start, Clara. Nathan's been here, day in, day out, keeping this place running. Why would you even say that? His dismissive tone stung more than the words. My mom crossed her arms, her face tight. You've always had a knack for stealing the spotlight, Clara. It's Christmas, can we not ruin it with this nonsense? My face burned, anger and humiliation mixing. I'm not lying, I said, louder now. I've been depositing money into the farm account. Every single transfer came from me. They weren't listening. My dad waved me off, exasperated, and my mom turned to Nathan, who shrugged like he was clueless. The betrayal hit hard. Nathan knew the truth, but he sat there, letting them think I was making it up. I turned to him, my voice sharp. Are you really going to lie, Nathan? You know I've been sending that money. He didn't flinch, just smirked wider. I don't know what you're talking about, Clara, he said, his tone dripping with mock innocence. My blood boiled. Unbelievable. I muttered, shaking my head. My parents didn't even blink. My dad sighed like I was the problem, and my mom gave Nathan a sympathetic look, as if I was attacking him. I stood, my chair scraping the floor. You know what, Nathan? Those deposits weren't pocket change. You've been letting them think you're some hero when you've done nothing but lie. If you don't admit it, I'll drive to Minneapolis tomorrow and get the proof myself. Nathan chuckled, leaning back. Go ahead, Clara. Waste your time. Whatever story you've cooked up, good luck proving it. His smugness was infuriating, but it was his confidence that I'd back down that lit a fire in me. He thought this was just another argument I'd let slide, like always. Not this time. He'd manipulated me, lied to our parents, and basked in their praise while erasing my efforts. I was done. The next morning, I packed my bag, the weight of their disbelief heavy on my shoulders. My mom sighed as I grabbed my coat. It's Christmas, Clara, she said, her tone heavy with judgment. My dad didn't look up from his coffee. Can't go one holiday without a scene, he muttered. Nathan lounged in the living room, grinning like he'd won. I didn't say a word, just walked out, the cold Iowa air biting my face as I climbed into my car. The drive to Minneapolis was long, the roads quiet, most folks home with their families. I gripped the wheel, the heater barely keeping up with the chill. My mind replayed the night before, Nathan's smirk, my parents' dismissal. He didn't think I'd follow through, but I was tired of being invisible. I'd get those bank records, and they'd see the truth. The banks were closed for the holiday, but I wasn't staying in that house another minute. I holed up in my apartment, waiting for them to reopen. A few days later, I marched into the Minneapolis branch, the January cold stinging my cheeks. At the counter, a kind-eyed teller greeted me. Good morning, how can I help you? I explained. Voice steady, that I needed records of every deposit I'd made to the Hensley farm account since June. He nodded, disappearing to the back, and returned with a ledger and a clunky receipt printer. One by one, he fed the records through, the machine whirring as it spat out slips with my name, the dates, and the amounts. I watched, heart pounding, as the stack grew. He handed them to me with a smile. Here you go, ma'am. Anything else? I thanked him, my hands trembling as I clutched the receipts. These weren't just paper, they were my vindication, proof Nathan had lied that I didn't wait. The roads were icy from a recent snowstorm, but I drove back to Iowa, the receipts secured on the passenger seat under a small book to keep them from fluttering. Every glance at them fueled my resolve. I couldn't believe Nathan thought he'd get away with this, or that my parents had so quickly dismissed me. The farm's long driveway came into view, and my pulse raced. I wasn't sure how this would go, but I wasn't leaving until they saw the truth. Inside, the house smelled of stew simmering on the stove. My mom was at the counter, chopping vegetables, while my dad read the newspaper at the table. Nathan leaned against the sink, biting into an apple, his smugness unshaken. They looked up as I walked in, but before anyone could speak, I dropped the stack of receipts in front of my dad. There, I said, voice firm. Every deposit I made since June. My name, the dates, the amounts. My dad lowered his paper, frowning as he picked up the stack. My mom wiped her hands on a towel, her expression skeptical. Nathan stayed put, but I caught his smirk waver. This can't be right, my dad muttered, flipping through the receipts. Why would you do this, Clara? My mom leaned over, her voice sharp. Nathan said he's been covering everything. I locked eyes with Nathan. Well, Nathan? Still lying? He laughed, tossing his apple core into the trash. Clara, I don't know where you got those, but they're fake. You probably forged them to make me look bad. His calm mockery made my stomach churn, but I held my ground. I looked at my parents, expecting a flicker of doubt, but my dad's face darkened. What's wrong with you, Clara? This is low, even for you. My mom grabbed the receipts, holding them like they were poison. Did you think we wouldn't see through this? She said, her voice shaking. Nathan's been here, working every day to save this farm, and you come in with these fake papers, expecting us to believe you? You've always craved attention. My chest tightened, tears pricking my eyes. They're not fake, I said, voice trembling. Call the bank if you don't believe me. But they weren't listening. My dad tossed the receipts onto the table like trash, and my mom shook her head, united with him in defending Nathan. I felt like a stranger in my own family. I can't believe this, I said, my voice rising. I show you proof, right there in black and white, and you still choose him. I've been keeping this farm alive, and all you do is call me a liar. While he takes the credit. Nathan crossed his arms, his smugness infuriating. Don't be so dramatic, Clara. You've always been jealous. This is no different. I couldn't take it anymore. I'm done, I snapped. Don't expect me back. I've had enough. My mom's face tightened, my dad shook his head, and I stormed out, slamming the door. The cold air hit like a shock, but it was better than staying in that house. Back in Minneapolis, I made a decision. I called the bank and stopped the deposits. No more transfers to that account, I told the teller, my voice steady despite the storm inside me. It felt like severing a lifeline, but it was also liberating. I was done carrying a burden that wasn't mine. At first, I worried I'd feel guilty, but every time I pictured Nathan's smirk or my parents' dismissal, my resolve hardened. Let Nathan be the hero he pretended to be. I wasn't going to keep saving a farm that treated me like an outcast. If they wanted to believe his lies, they could face the consequences when the bills piled up, and they would, because Nathan had nothing to contribute. 6 months passed without a word from my family. No calls, no letters, nothing. I thought about them sometimes, but the hurt always rushed back, so I buried myself in work, building my life in Minneapolis. Then, one humid summer afternoon, a knock came at my apartment door. I opened it to find my parents standing there, looking worn and hesitant. My mom clutched her purse, her face tight, and my dad's eyes avoided mine. Can we come in? He asked, voice low. Part of me wanted to shut the door, but I stepped aside, curiosity winning out. They sat stiffly on my couch, looking out of place in my small living room. What do you want? I asked, arms crossed, leaning against a chair. My dad cleared his throat, staring at the floor. Clara, we owe you an apology. A big one. My mom nodded, her knuckles white around her purse. We were wrong, she said softly. We didn't believe you, and we need to make this right. I raised an eyebrow, voice sharp. Go on. My debt site. After you left, the farm started falling apart. Bills piled up, equipment broke, and the crops didn't cover it. We thought Nathan had it under control. He kept saying he'd fix it, but he didn't. When we pushed him, he admitted everything. My mom's eyes glisten with tears. He told us you were the one sending the money, Clara. You kept us afloat, and we didn't listen when you tried to tell us. We're so sorry, for not believing you, for how we treated you. You didn't deserve it. I stared, their regret sinking in. For the first time, I saw genuine shame in their faces. My dad met my eyes. We're asking for your forgiveness, Clara. We don't deserve it, but you saved the farm, and we owe you more than words. I let the silence linger, their guilt heavy in the air. Then I asked, where's Nathan? My voice was calm, but anger simmered beneath. My mom glanced at my dad, nervous. He's at the farm, she said quietly. He wanted to come, but we thought it'd be better if we talked first. My dad nodded, shifting uncomfortably. He's been quiet since he confessed. He knows he can't excuse what he did. He's ashamed, Clara. I let out a bitter laugh. Ashamed? After months of letting you think I was a liar? After taking credit for my money? My dad's face paled. You're right, he said, voice barely audible. We let it go too long. It's on us as much as him. But he asked us to tell you he's sorry. He doesn't expect forgiveness, but he needed you to know. Sorry through you? I snapped, leaning forward. You're still protecting him. He should be here, facing me. You should have made him come. My voice echoed, and their shock was palpable, but I was done with their favoritism. Do you hear yourselves? He lies, manipulates, steals my contributions, and now you're cleaning up his mess again because he's too embarrassed to face me? That's insane. My mom twisted her purse strap, silent, and my dad's jaw tightened, staring at the floor. The silence stretched, heavy and raw, until my dad stood. You're right, he said, not meeting my eyes. We should have brought him. I don't know why we didn't. Maybe because we've always made excuses for him. My mom stood too, her eyes wet. We're sorry, Clara, she whispered. You deserved better from us. They walked to the door, my dad glancing back with regret, then they were gone, the door clicking shut. A week later, another knock came. I opened the door to Nathan, looking like he hadn't slept in days, hands shoved in his pockets. Clara, he said, voice low. Can I come in? I hesitated, then stepped aside, saying nothing. He stood awkwardly in my living room, not sitting, just shifting nervously. I'm here to apologize, he said, eyes darting. For lying, for taking credit for your money, for letting mom and dad treat you like that. His voice cracked. I don't have an excuse. I was jealous, Clara. You've built this big life, and I'm stuck on the farm, chasing their approval. I thought if I looked like the hero, I'd matter. It was wrong, all of it. His voice broke, and he buried his face in his hands, sobbing, raw, ugly sobs that shook him. It wasn't an act, it was shame, laid bare. I stood there, unsure, watching my brother unravel. I didn't forgive him, not yet, but seeing him so broken shifted something. He wasn't the untouchable golden child anymore, he was just a man. Flawed and hurting. In the months that followed, things changed. My parents' calls were different, no more defensiveness, no excuses for Nathan. They'd taken over the farm's finances, and my mom mentioned Nathan was working to prove himself, no longer coasting on their favor. It wasn't perfect, but it was a start. Nathan kept his distance, giving me space, which I appreciated. Trust would take time, but knowing my parents finally saw the truth, and admitted their role in the hurt, gave me peace. That Christmas Eve, when my mom yelled enough, and my dad accused me of stealing the spotlight, I felt like the family outcast. My efforts erased. But fighting for the truth, even when they refused to see it, showed me my own strength. I wasn't just saving the farm, I was reclaiming my place in a family that had overlooked me for too long. The farm still stands, and so do I, stronger for it. Our family isn't perfect, but it's fairer now, and that's a victory I'll carry forever.